What kind of drunk lets a 5-year-old draw on him? The voice cuts through the hum of servers in the Marine Corps Operations Center. Thomas Wade doesn't look up from his floor buffer. At 79, he's learned that some insults aren't worth acknowledging. But Lieutenant Bradford isn't finished. He steps closer, pointing at the faded tattoo on Thomas's forearm. A crude skull, crossed rifles, and 3 uneven dots. That gang ink is a security risk, old man. I'm having you removed. What Bradford doesn't know is that in 15 minutes a captain will walk through that door, and everything will change. The operations center sits 3 floors below ground. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The air smells of electronics and filtered coolness. Rows of monitors display tactical data from 3 continents. This is where decisions are made, where wars are managed from comfortable chairs. Thomas guides the buffer across the white tiles. His hands are steady despite the arthritis. His back is bent, but not broken. He wears red coveralls with a name patch that says, Wade, Maintenance. Nobody in this room knows his first name. Nobody asks. Lieutenant Bradford circles him like a predator. Bradford is 34, fit, with a uniform so crisp it could cut paper. He graduated from the Naval Academy 7 years ago. He has never heard a shot fired in anger. But he has authority here, and authority, in his mind, is everything. Did you hear me, old man? Bradford's voice rises. I asked about that trash on your arm. Thomas stops the buffer. The sudden silence makes everyone look up from their stations. A female ensign named Carter glances over, then quickly looks away. A civilian contractor named Marcus freezes at his keyboard. Nobody wants to be involved. Thomas straightens slowly. His knees pop. He looks at his own forearm. The tattoo is barely visible now. The ink has faded to a gray blur against his weathered skin. The skull is misshapen. The crossed rifles look like twigs. The 3 dots could be dirt. It's just a mark, sir, Thomas says quietly. From a long time ago. A mark? Bradford laughs. It's a sharp cutting sound. It looks like something you got in a prison yard. We have standards here, even for the cleaning crew. Thomas doesn't respond. He's learned that silence often says more than words. Bradford steps closer. You know what I think? I think you lied on your background check. I think you have a record. Gang affiliation. Maybe time served. He pulls out his phone. I'm running your clearance right now, and when it comes back flagged, I'm having security escort you off this base permanently. The ensign, Carter, speaks up. Her voice is small but brave. Sir, Mr. Wade has been here for 12 years. He's never been a problem. Bradford whips around. Did I ask for your input, Ensign? No, sir. Then keep your mouth shut. Bradford turns back to Thomas. Roll down your sleeves. I don't want to see that garbage while I'm working. Thomas looks at the clock on the wall. 14 minutes now. He could roll down his sleeves. He could apologize. He could make this easy. But something in Bradford's tone, the casual cruelty, the entitled contempt, sparks a memory. A different voice, a different uniform, a different kind of authority that was earned, not given. The safety protocol requires rolled sleeves when operating heavy machinery, sir, Thomas says evenly, to prevent snagging. Bradford's face darkens. Are you quoting regulations to me? Taking a breath here. Thomas Wade's story hit different because it reminds us that the greatest heroes often look the most ordinary. If you're still here, drop your location below, means more than you know. The tension in the room is electric. Bradford's jaw tightens. His hand moves to the radio on his belt, but before he can speak, Thomas does something unexpected. He sets down the buffer handle. He faces Bradford fully, and for just a moment, his posture changes. His shoulders square. His spine straightens. His eyes, watery and old, sharpen with a focus that doesn't belong to a janitor. Do not touch me, son, Thomas says. The sir is gone. Bradford blinks. There's something in the old man's voice that stops him cold. It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact. A boundary drawn by someone who has held far more dangerous lines. But Bradford recovers quickly. He's not used to being challenged, especially not by someone in coveralls. That's it, Bradford snaps. He keys his radio. Security to Ops Center. I have a hostile contractor. Possible intoxication. I need immediate removal. The room goes silent. Calling security on a 79-year-old janitor is insane, but Bradford is too far gone, riding the adrenaline of his own embarrassment. Thomas doesn't move. He just looks at the tattoo on his arm one more time. The skull grins back at him through the faded ink. The security team arrives in under 3 minutes. 2 master-at-arms in tactical vests. They look confused. One of them, a gunnery sergeant named Flores, has known Thomas for years. "What's the situation, sir?" Flores asks Bradford, his tone professional but skeptical. Bradford points at Thomas. "This contractor became verbally aggressive when I addressed a uniform violation. I want him removed and his clearance suspended pending investigation." Flores looks at Thomas. Thomas looks back, calm and still. "Mr. Wade?" Flores asks. "You want to tell me what happened?" "The lieutenant didn't like my tattoo," Thomas says simply. Flores glances at Thomas's arm. He's seen it 100 times. It never registered as anything important. Just an old man's faded ink. "Sir," Flores says carefully, addressing Bradford, "I've known Mr. Wade for 8 years. He's never been a problem. Maybe we can resolve this without—" "I gave you a direct order, Sergeant," Bradford interrupts. "Remove him, now." Flores hesitates. Then he nods. "Mr. Wade, I'm going to need you to come with me." Thomas doesn't argue. He picks up his bucket and mop. He moves toward the door with the same steady pace he's used for 12 years. The ensign, Carter, watches him go. Her fists are clenched under her desk. Marcus, the contractor, pulls out his phone. He sends a text to someone saved as Captain Reynolds, USMC Liaison. It reads, "Bradford just kicked out the old janitor. Over a tattoo. This is wrong." The message sends. Marcus deletes it from his screen and goes back to work. Thomas walks down the hallway with Flores and the other MP. Nobody speaks. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Somewhere above them, the California sun is shining. Down here, everything is cold concrete and recycled air. "I'm sorry about this, Mr. Wade," Flores says quietly. Bradford's new. He doesn't know. "It's fine," Thomas says. "I've been thrown out of better places." Flores almost smiles. Then he remembers he's supposed to be escorting a hostile subject. They reach the security office. Flores begins the paperwork. Incident report. Witness statements. Standard procedure for removing someone from a secure facility. "You'll need to surrender your badge," Flores says. "Temporarily. Until this gets cleared up." Thomas unclips the laminated card from his coveralls. Level 4 clearance. Authorized by the base commander himself 9 years ago. He hands it to Flores. "Can I ask you something?" Flores says, looking at the badge. "How does a janitor get level 4 clearance?" Thomas doesn't answer. He just looks at his arm again. The skull. The rifles. The dots. Flores follows his gaze. For the first time, he really looks at the tattoo. Not just glances at it, actually studies it. The skull isn't random. It's positioned between the rifles at a specific angle. The 3 dots aren't arbitrary. They're arranged in a triangle. And beneath all of it, barely visible through the faded ink, is a single word in Gothic script. Reaper. Flores' eyes widen. He's a Marine. He's studied military history. He knows that symbol. "Sir," Flores says, his voice changing. "What unit were you with?" Thomas looks up. His eyes are tired. "3rd Force Reconnaissance. Long time ago." Flores goes pale. 3rd Force Recon. The Ghost Walkers. Deep insertion teams that operated behind enemy lines in Vietnam. Teams that didn't officially exist until the records were declassified in 1995. "Jesus Christ," Flores whispers. "Sir, The door to the security office slams open. Captain David Reynolds fills the doorway. He's 6'3", 240 pounds of muscle and scar tissue. His uniform is decorated with ribbons from Fallujah, and Helmand Province. His face is carved from granite, and right now, he looks furious. "Where is he?" Reynolds's voice could strip paint. Flores jumps to attention. "Sir, the contractor is—" Reynolds sees Thomas sitting in the plastic chair. His expression shifts instantly from rage to something else, something that looks almost like awe. "Mr. Wade," Reynolds says. His voice is suddenly soft. "Are you okay?" Thomas nods. "Fine, Captain. Just a misunderstanding." Reynolds turns to Flores. "What happened?" Flores stammers through the story. The tattoo, Bradford's complaint, the removal order. As he talks, Reynolds' jaw gets tighter and tighter. "Where is Lieutenant Bradford now?" Reynolds asks. "Still in Ops Center, sir." Reynolds looks at Thomas. "Sir, would you come with me, please?" Thomas stands slowly. His knees pop again. "I have to finish the floor, Captain. The General likes it clean before the floor can wait," Reynolds says. "This can't." They walk back toward the operations center. Reynolds matches his pace to Thomas's slower gait. In the hallway, Reynolds speaks quietly. "My father told me about the ghost walkers," Reynolds says. "He served in 3rd Battalion. He said you guys were legends. Ghosts who walked through the valley of death." Thomas doesn't respond. "He said there were 12 of you, but only 4 came home." Thomas's hand tightens on his bucket handle. The tattoo seems to pulse on his arm. The skull, the rifles, the 3 dots. "The dots," Reynolds says. "They represent the 3 men who didn't make it out. Am I right?" Thomas stops walking. He looks at Reynolds, really looks at him. "Your father. What was his name?" "Gunnery Sergeant William Reynolds. He was with 3rd Battalion, supporting your ops in the Ashau Valley, 1968. Thomas's eyes go distant. "Billy Reynolds. Tall kid. Carried the M60. He covered our extraction at Firebase Reaper." Reynolds nods. His throat is tight. "He died in 2019. Cancer. But he talked about you until the end. He said you saved his entire platoon. He said you called in the airstrike that broke the siege. He said without you, none of them would have made it home." They reach the operations center. Through the glass door, they can see Bradford at his station, looking satisfied with himself. Reynolds pauses at the door. "Sir, I need you to know something. What's about to happen in there? It's not about revenge, it's about respect. It's about making sure people understand what that tattoo really means." Thomas looks at the young captain. He sees Billy Reynolds' eyes. The same determination, the same honor. "Do what you need to do, son," Thomas says. Reynolds nods. Then he opens the door. The operations center goes silent when Reynolds enters. Every person snaps to attention. Even Bradford, who is mid-sentence on a phone call, hangs up immediately and stands. "As you were," Reynolds says. His voice is calm, but there's an edge to it that makes everyone nervous. He walks to the center of the room. Thomas follows behind him, still holding his mop bucket. The juxtaposition is jarring. A decorated Marine captain escorting an elderly janitor. "Lieutenant Bradford," Reynolds says, front and center. Bradford steps forward. His face is confident. He thinks he's about to be congratulated for maintaining security standards. "Sir," Bradford says crisply, "I was just ensuring protocol." "Show me your right hand," Reynolds interrupts. Bradford blinks. "Sir, your hand. Show it to me." Bradford extends his hand. It's smooth, unmarked. The nails are manicured. Reynolds looks at it. Then he looks at Thomas's hands. They're scarred, calloused, with knuckles that have been broken and healed wrong. The hands of someone who has built things and destroyed things and carried things that were too heavy. "Lieutenant," Reynolds says, "how many combat deployments have you completed?" Bradford stiffens. "Sir, I've served in theater twice, both times coordinating logistics and— How many times have you been shot at?" Silence. "How many times have you held a dying man while calling for a medevac that you knew wouldn't arrive in time?" Bradford's face goes red. "Sir, I don't see how—" Reynolds steps closer. "That man behind me, the one you called trash, the one whose tattoo offended you, do you know who he is?" "He's a janitor, sir. His name is Thomas Wade, Sergeant Thomas Wade, United States Marine Corps, 3rd Force Reconnaissance Company. He served 3 tours in Vietnam. He has a Navy Cross. He has 2 Purple Hearts. And that tattoo you mocked? Reynolds points at Thomas's arm. That tattoo is the unit insignia of the Ghostwalkers, the most classified, most dangerous deep reconnaissance unit in Marine Corps history. The room is frozen. Ensign Carter's mouth is open. Marcus has stopped typing. Even the monitors seem to have gone quiet. Reynolds continues. The skull represents death, because that's where they operated, in death's domain. The crossed rifles represent the firepower they carried alone into enemy territory. And the 3 dots. Reynolds's voice breaks slightly. The 3 dots represent Corporal James Mitchell, Lance Corporal David Ortiz, and Private First Class Anthony Russo. 3 men who died on Hill 861 in May of 1968, while Sergeant Wade carried the only other survivor 6 miles through enemy lines to safety. Bradford has gone pale. That survivor was my father, Reynolds says. Sergeant Wade didn't leave him. He didn't leave anyone. He completed the mission, even though he had shrapnel in his leg and a bullet in his shoulder. And when the medevac finally arrived, he refused to board until every other wounded Marine was loaded first. Reynolds turns to Thomas. Sir, would you please show the lieutenant your left shoulder? Thomas hesitates. Then he slowly unzips the top of his coveralls. He pulls the fabric aside, revealing his shoulder. There's a scar there, not a clean surgical scar. A jagged, brutal tear where a bullet entered and was dug out with a knife because there was no doctor available. The room is silent. Thomas covers his shoulder again. He looks at Bradford. There's no anger in his eyes, just weariness. You don't know me, Lieutenant, Thomas says quietly. And that's okay. Most people don't. The best work is the kind nobody sees. Bradford opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. I didn't know. No, Thomas says. You didn't. But you didn't ask either. You saw an old man with faded ink and you made a judgment. You decided I was worthless. Reynolds steps between them. Lieutenant Bradford, you are relieved of watch duty pending review by the base commander. Return to your quarters. Sir, Now, Lieutenant. Bradford leaves. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Reynolds turns to the room. Everyone, I want you to meet Sergeant Thomas Wade. Not the janitor, the Marine. One by one, people stand. Ensign Carter salutes. Marcus stands at attention even though he's a civilian. Flores, who followed them in, renders the sharpest salute of his career. And then Reynolds does something that breaks protocol entirely. He comes to full attention. His hand snaps to his brow in a salute that is absolutely perfect, and he holds it. A captain saluting a janitor, a decorated officer honoring an enlisted man. The room holds its breath. Thomas Wade, 79 years old, with a mop bucket in one hand and coveralls stained with floor wax, slowly straightens. The years fall away. His spine aligns, his shoulders set, his chin lifts, and he returns the salute. For 5 seconds they hold it. 2 Marines separated by generations but connected by blood and sacrifice. Then Reynolds cuts the salute. Thank you for your service, sir, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. Thomas's eyes are wet. He blinks rapidly. Your father was a good man, Captain. He kept us all alive with that M60. Tell him. Thomas stops. I'm sorry. You said he passed. He did, but I'll tell him anyway, when I visit his grave next month. Thomas nods. Tell him the Reaper still walks. Tell him we didn't forget. I will. Ensign Carter approaches. She's holding a folder. Sir, I pulled Mr. Wade's service record. It was classified until 2003, but it's available now. She opens it. 3 tours, 47 missions behind enemy lines, 13 confirmed rescues, Navy Cross for extraordinary heroism, Silver Star, Bronze Star with V device, 2 Purple Hearts. She looks up. Sir, why are you working as a janitor? Thomas almost smiles. Because the floor needs cleaning, because the work needs doing, because I'm still breathing, so I might as well be useful. Reynolds shakes his head. Sir, with respect, this is beneath you. No, Thomas says firmly. No work is beneath anyone. I clean floors. I take out trash. I make sure the people in this room can do their jobs without worrying about the little things. That matters. It all matters. The captain stares at him. Then slowly, he nods. You're right. I apologize. Nothing to apologize for, Captain. You honored me today. That's more than enough. Thomas Wade returns to his quarters that evening, a small room with a single bed and a window overlooking the Pacific. He sits at the desk and looks at his arm. The tattoo is still ugly, still faded, still looks like prison work, but it's his, and it carries the names of men who deserved better than an unmarked grave in a foreign jungle. He thinks about Bradford. The young lieutenant will learn, or he won't. Either way, Thomas won't be there to see it. He's submitted his retirement paperwork. 12 years is enough. The people who protect us most are often the ones we never see. The missions that save lives never make the news, and sometimes the quietest voice in the room is the one that changed everything. To everyone from Texas, Ohio, California, and beyond, thank you for recognizing those who served in silence. Subscribe for more stories of veterans who prove that true greatness needs no uniform. See you in the next one.